Welcome back to Touring the Multiverse. I'm Miaca, and with me today is Kasi. And we've been looking into one of the Magic the Gathering settings that 5th edition has adopted, Theros.
In this episode of our discussion on Theros, we're going to look at 3 gods who see the bigger picture as well as their plot hooks, domains, and potential interactions with mortals. And of course, we'll be covering 3 new monsters.
Okay, I am so excited.
Yes, the gods.
Yes, the gods. They are everything to me in this whole book. And they're so interesting and intricate. And so can't wait to get into it. So the first god we're going to talk about is Kruphix. Okay? Kruphix is known as the god of mysteries, horizons, and passage of time. His true form is star-shaped, and so he's got like 4 arms and 2 stars that can basically be his eyes.
Okay.
He is more like a star-filled shadow, and sometimes he takes on the form of a whale or a bird. And so here is a picture of him. This is what he would look like if a mortal was just like walking down the street and he just showed up.
Well, it's quite terrifying.
Yeah, like he's terrifying.
Yeah.
And he's like, I found it interesting that he is made of that like that Nick starry-filled sky. Like that is who he is.
Right.
And so.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only does he know everything that's going on in real time, but everything that has ever been known.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He rarely communicates, and when he does, it's like barely a whisper. So he's just that god that's probably, if they're all in one room, he's kind of up against the wall just observing like what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Brooding, potentially.
Oh, yeah.
If you could,
broody.
if he had a face.
Yeah. Definitely a broody guy, a broody gentleman. When he gets upset, his voice can get pretty loud, and all gods can hear it telepathically. He is in charge of the unknown and things that have not been seen yet. So this is why they call him the god of the horizon.
Oh, okay.
He has existed before mortals and understands the power of mortal belief. Not all the gods do, but they know it's a thing that needs to always happen. So I know I had said in previous episodes, mortals basically willed the gods into existence. But going back and reading, Kruphix and Klothys are the only 2 that were there before the other gods. So he can seal the borders between the mortal realm and Nyx, and he is the only god that can do this successfully. So he's pretty powerful. He lacks in followers, but his colleagues know that that he is a true force, and they need to be careful around him.
So he was all powerful before there was like even the existence of followers, of like mortals that were followers.
Yeah.
So he like doesn't even care about that. He doesn't need them.
Yeah, he doesn't really need them.
Yeah, you do that. I don't need that to imbue me with more power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's definitely we're going to get into Klothys, because Klothys is like the exact same way. So, like, he doesn't really need his followers, but, like, he has them, so he's like, all right, I'll deal with it. His goal, he wants to always be in charge of all knowledge, maintain time, and uphold divine order. He sees his colleagues as petty and a bit power hungry, which they are. So he doesn't believe that they will ever do what is needed to keep the world in order. So it's like giving dad energy. I think I put that there. So he's the eldest, so it's giving big bro energy. So yeah. He's the mediator, but he will also instigate a bit. He can't stand Heliod, which is the god of the sun. And we'll get into Heliod. Heliod is something else. He thinks he's arrogant and a threat to the balance of power when it comes to other gods. He warns the other gods to not work with him directly. So him and Heliod, they don't get along.
All right.
At all. He respects Theros and Erebos. Erebos was known as Heliod's shadow. and he's also known as the god of the underworld. He keeps Heliod in check a bit, and Theros is respected for his job. He's like the god of passage. So when you go to the underworld, he's there to like take you.
Okay.
Kruphix does blame Erebos for Klothys, the god of destiny, for coming back into Theros. Perforis, the god of the forge, is pissed at Kruphix for siding with Heliod in the fight that those two had. The outcome of this fight was Kruphix had scrambled Perforis's brain, and it took like years for him to get over that. Like, he was walking around pretty confused for years. Kruphix believes it was necessary since he threatened the balance. And to Kruphix, if you threaten the balance of how things are supposed to be, you're a problem and I need to fix you.
Right. So he basically evened the fight amongst him and Heliod.
Yeah.
Okay.
The god that concerns Kruphix the most is Klothys, and Klothys is the god of destiny. Kruphix and Klothys are the only gods that like predate human belief. He's a bit unsure what she's up to since she emerged from the underworld. So a little bit of background there. Klothys was down in the underworld to take care of the Titans since she was like the only one that could figure it out or keep them down there. And now she's back in Theros and everyone's trying to figure out what the hell is going on. so I guess out of all the gods, that's the god that concerns him the most. Especially since he wants his, he has to have his balance in order. So if you were to be a champion of Klothys, here are some of the things you should know. Your alignment is usually neutral. Suggested classes can be a bard, which I found interesting. Cleric, druid, monk, ranger, or wizard. To be a Kruphix champion, you must be willing to learn secrets of the universe and keep the balance of the world. Followers and champions of Kruphix tend to not draw too much attention to themselves. They're very secretive and quiet. A little background on ideals. They help with character alignment. Every god has a table where your players can roll like a d6. I'm not going to read everything that it has to say, but I'll just touch on what ideal each ideal is. So every god has devotion. That's number one, which means that, you believe your god is above everything and they're the most important god. After that, Kruphix has balance, selflessness, knowledge, power, and mystery. So those are his ideals that you can use to kind of help shape your character if you want to be a follower of Kruphix. You can also earn and lose piety. So you can increase your piety score by keeping a dangerous secret despite the personal costs, revealing a critical truth at an important moment, mediating an issue, aiding the weak, or helping the strong. And you can decrease your piety score by doing the following. If you reveal a secret, that's an issue to Kruphix. If you are selfishly refusing to share info, he will decrease your piety score. Showing favoritism and helping a god in defiance of his will definitely decrease your piety score. And I guess people can make the argument, well, why would that even come up? I'll just always make sure I'm doing the right thing. Well, if you're playing at a table with other players and they all are, champions of different gods, you're going to probably do something that's going to piss him off and he's going to take those points away from you. Yeah. And it's going to suck. Even if you were doing the right thing, even if you feel that you're doing the right thing, but if it's doesn't align with what he wants, you can lose your score.
Yeah. And you talked about the bard class being kind of interesting to be included. And I can totally see it being used as they are the mediator or the diffuser of situations, using their charisma to diffuse or negotiate to come to an accord. But then when it comes to earning and losing piety, I can also see somebody loving the roleplay aspect in that they're pushing it either way. And so probably endlessly earning and losing piety based on how their negotiations or mediations go.
Oh yeah.
So that would be a really fun way to play the bard. Is let's see if I can increase my piety today, and then everything goes, it's well, shit. Yeah.
It's I thought I was doing the right thing, but obviously not.
Yeah. I misread the situation.
Yeah. So in your campaign, you could come across Kruphix villains. And so a Kruphix villain depends on the point of view, since specific quests can look villainous all for the sake of balance. So it all depends on the point of view of your players. If you have 4 followers of Heliod and your one player is hell-bent on spreading the news of Heliod's arrogance to feed into Kruphix's balance of power, you're going to have a problem.
So your followers of Kruphix that you may encounter could be a problem depending on the dynamic of your party. If the majority of your party are champions of Heliod or follow Heliod, they are not going to exactly go about their day, boosting up Kruphix.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, so even if you are amongst that party, you can end up, having to diffuse that or see, the supporters of Kruphix as the villains, even though you may not see that. But if all of the players in your group follow Heliod or something other than Kruphix, then yeah, Kruphix followers will definitely be villains.
Oh, yeah.
So it totally depends on what kind of party you've built and their perspective on them.
Yeah, definitely. All depends on that perspective. And so you can also play with Kruphix being a campaign villain. And so...
That's terrifying. I don't want that to come after us.
No, I don't. Me either. So he could be dealing a punishment to a specific god or a god that you would follow. This would work well if no one in the party is a champion of Kruphix. So, it's the possibilities are endless if he's a campaign villain because he's all about that order. So you could be going after one thing and he could be on the complete other side of it. And it's I don't appreciate that, you guys. So I'm gonna do what I can to get at you. So
yes, and it lets him pop up at many different instances. Too. You could have no idea you've pissed him off. Yeah. And then suddenly he shows up because you decided to be murder hobos and destroy a bunch of a village or people or monsters that actually were doing him a favor.
And the crazy thing is this, he doesn't even have to show up. He could just have a whole bunch of his villains that are just, super beefy or any type of monster, of course, just be there. So it could be a cult or something like that. And so it can get crazy with this one. There's so many possibilities when you're dealing with Kruphix. An adventure of his is called the Temple of Mystery, of course. This is a temple just full of mysteries and puzzles. Players can earn a lot of Kruphix's respect here. Each temple has one caretaker, a priest/oracle, willing to answer questions for adventurers once they overcome the challenges. They are impressed by those who are able to solve puzzles they can't even solve. So that's a little, you could probably get some cool stuff if you're able to solve those puzzles. All in all, there are lots of treasures here in this Temple of Mystery/dungeon crawl.
Cool.
So...
Well, that'll draw a lot of parties.
Yeah. So what do you think? The first god.
The first god, and he's all-powerful, wants balance, and yet is perceived as the villain or has villains.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's cool. I can see how this could be a threat a lot of the time, and perhaps if you discover some of his followers in general, that might even cause them to panic, and that you might be able to strike a deal being look, I know who you follow. I know who you're working for. So if you want to keep that under wraps, you're going to help us with whatever. Yep. So there's lots of angles to use this one.
Yeah, and I feel like he would drive me insane because it's I want to do what I want to do. And so, do
we need these NPCs?
Right, there you go.
I can just see you.
And that's something I feel like Adam would throw at me at the table too. It's you have to make sure these NPCs get home to wherever and you're escorting them. And it's I don't don't want to lose my score, but do I have to do this?
Yeah.
Like,
the balance.
Yeah.
The balance and control.
So, like, lots of respect to him. Probably not my favorite, but I can actually see, like, how playing in a campaign where he's kind of the center of it, it would probably be, like, a lot of fun and just a lot of, there'll be, like, a lot of moving pieces to keep that balance and order.
Yeah. And because he doesn't actually communicate very much, I can also think that his followers and his villains are communicate more, but are just that, like, obnoxious arrogance about all of this. It's like, he is the all-powerful.
Yeah.
So, like, why are you questioning it?
Yeah.
This is the way it is. Mm-hmm. Do you want to piss him off?
Right.
And it's just like, because it's like, he doesn't even need followers.
No, he doesn't. Like, he could care less, guys.
Cool.
So that's him.
Amazing. All right. Well, I am going to cover oracles, which come up often in Theros. So, oracles are gifted or sometimes cursed, and they are mortals, and they usually have a strong connection with a single god. But they can also have the same strong connections and understanding of Nyx and fate and the will of gods overall. So if they don't worship or have a strong connection with one single god, it's just the idea of Nyx and all that encompasses it.
Okay.
Oracles can also be a way for gods to try and influence the mortal world. Gods can potentially speak directly to the oracle with the intent that the oracle will share their message far and wide, or even possess them to manipulate the world themselves. So think, you find a traveling group and there's the tent with the oracle in it.
Yeah.
Or you're going up into the mountain to find the oracle. And they potentially have valuable information directly from the gods or because of this communication connection that they have. And depending on what you do, you could then potentially speak to a god through the oracle. Ooh, so it could be a very powerful purpose for your party to find one. They have the divine ability to interpret godly visions, patterns, and instructions. And as such, they also can be sought out by adventurers that need clarity or more information about their quests. Like a party member had a vision and they don't quite understand it. It might be advised to go seek out this oracle that could help explain it.
Okay.
When we look at their stat block, these are medium-sized humanoids that can be any alignment. With all of their ability modifiers at average or above average. The art in the book depicts a female with black or dark gray skin, flowing robes, and large gold jewelry and embellishments, and glowing eyes.
Okay.
And that is right there.
Wow.
They appear to have, like, godlike energy flowing around them, and I assume that's kind of to depict their deep connection with them. They have an AC of 15 due to having blessings of the gods. While wearing no armor and holding no shield, the oracle's AC includes the wisdom modifier. And if a creature hits the oracle with a melee attack while they're within 5 feet of them, they will take 2d8 force damage. So it's kind of like they don't look like they're protected. They don't wear armor and they don't have a shield. But if you come in and hit them, you're going to take force damage.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
And they have just a regular 30-foot speed and a hit point average of 44. And they do have some spellcasting abilities, and that brings them just to a CR of 4. So you won't encounter these in the you won't want to combat these in the very early days. But it wouldn't be too long before you might be able to confidently seek one out.
Okay.
So they do use wisdom to perform their innate spellcasting. So some things they can do is is like guidance, light, guiding bolt, healing word, hold person, scrying. So it's very like deity or god-like or cleric-like abilities. They're probably not going to go out of their way to attack you. They're more going to be a defensive or supportive type of combatter, in my opinion.
Okay.
They can also cast Eldritch Touch as an action. So you love your Eldritch.
I do.
So this is a melee spell attack, and it will do 1d6 plus 3 force damage. And then they have a unique ability called Divine Sight, which they can do 3 times per day. So when it or a creature it can see makes an attack roll, saving throw, or ability check, the oracle can cause the roll to be made with disadvantage or advantage. So 3 times per day, it's kind of like it can change fate. It can make herself have advantage to potentially succeed, or they can cause someone to have disadvantage so they potentially do not succeed in what they're doing.
I need to play as this.
You like to control this.
Yeah, I want to control the situation. That is cool.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you can potentially become an ally with an oracle, like, I think there's a ton of negotiation room in this. They have a lot of information. They have these connections. So definitely talk to them and see if you can come to an accord, because you might get a lot of info. And I mean, if they will come to combat or your defense, it's pretty good. Yeah. They can bolster you.
Definitely. And can definitely see how that fits in with Kruphix and his like mission of balance too. So having these running around, especially with him, is, it makes sense.
Yeah, and they could even be like, if you have really done something wrong, you could potentially try and make amends through an oracle. Yeah. They might have the knowledge on how to have favor, or try and actually talk to them through the oracle to try and be like, I'm so sorry. Yeah. How can I make it up to you? So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like it
too. A cool option.
I would really want to play as one. Like, probably not possible. Probably possible, but no. Cool. So we're going to move into now Heliod. So buckle up, because he's something else.
Tell me how you really feel, Miaca.
He is something else. So he is the god of the sun. His responsibility is to make sure that the sun rises and the sun sets. Since this is pretty important work for all life, he just loves the worship and thanks for it. He can take on multiple forms, but he enjoys, and this is what it says in the book, he enjoys appearing as a sun-bronzed male in his 40s. He's strong, has a short beard, and to me, it's giving like sexy middle-aged strong man. Like, that's what he is.
Of course.
Let me flip to his page. Here he is.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Perfectly groomed. Not a hair out of place.
Yeah. He's a lot.
Like, okay.
It's understandable though why like a lot of people would like love to play as his champion though. We'll get into that. So he values faithfulness and strong bonds, and he gets upset if you break promises. He also loves like the self-sacrifice and like bravery. So that's what he's all about. He believes that he is the ruler of the gods. So when I think of Heliod, I think of Zeus. Like that whole...
Yeah.
He knows he's right about everything, and low-key thinks Nyx should be his kingdom. So that whole realm of the gods, he thinks he should just be in charge of it, and everyone should just listen to him.
Oh, jeez.
So
no wonder.
Yep.
No wonder people are haters.
Yeah. So, relationships. So Heliod is aligned with Aphara, the goddess of the polis, Karametra, who is the goddess of the harvest, and Erois, the god of war. So where Heliod believes in law, Afara will provide, like, the mortal polises, like, the cities and stuff. And so, like, she knows that she needs that law, and Heliod loves law, too, so they kind of get along in that aspect. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. So where Heliod controls the sun, Karametra is able to provide nature and agriculture for like all mortals, so they work together.
Yep.
Where Heliod believes in justice, Eros is all about doing what is right and is against anything that's unjust, especially in war. So Heliod hates Erebos, which is the god of the underworld. Erebos is his dark twin. He believes Erebos is pathetic and doesn't want anything to do with him. So there's a myth that when Heliod came to be, he turned and looked at his shadow, and his shadow was Erebos. And when he saw what his shadow was, he like banished him from the mortal realm in Nyx, and that's how we got the underworld.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Heliod and Erebos were at one point one, and then they split off into two. And so you can, when we get to Erebos, you'll know, like, okay, these are like night and day, literally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pun intended. Heliod fears Kruphix. He sees him as his only competition and is worried that he may be more powerful than him. So Kruphix and Klothys were predate mortal belief, and Heliod believes that he's like that too. Like, yeah, I predate mortal belief, but he's not. And so he sees Kruphix as his only competition. Worshipping Heliod can be a bit extensive by participating in day-long celebrations, like bowing in the direction of first light. He would just love this. So this is probably what his champions would do.
Right. So, yeah, yes, he controls, when the sun rises and sun sets. And so he truly does control the life of mortals. Mm-hmm. So it's only a given that the people he likes then go in to control the mortals more and, create order, make sure that they are provided for, but then they also follow the law or there will be war. Yep.
Yep. And so when I was typing this, I was thinking about the paladin that you covered. I think it was last episode. And I'm like, yep, would perfectly fit into a champion of Heliod.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So speaking of champions, they are usually lawful, often good. Suggested classes are cleric, fighter, monk, and paladin.
All makes sense.
Yeah. Champions are examples of typically light, lawful, and truthful. They can also be a bit conflicted by being motivated by revenge or sworn vows. They also can't fathom following any other god. So if you're his champion, he believes you are the best of the best.
Yeah, I hate them already.
Yeah.
The arrogance and the just unaware of how obnoxiously arrogant they are. That's how you would play this, complete bravery, will not fail.
Yeah. I am better than you. I'm working with you, but I am also better than you, and I know it.
Yes. Why would you follow any other god? That is ridiculous. Yep. Helios is the only thing that matters.
Some of his ideals,
Heliod, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. So his ideals for character alignment: honor, of course, protection, enforcement, justice, and kinship. You can earn piety by defending a polis from a monster attack, exacting vengeance on someone who did you wrong, or building or restoring a Heliod temple. You will lose piety if you break an oath, violate a law, be a coward, and put others at risk, which makes sense.
Yeah. What immediately popped in my head was the Paladin Oathbreaker. Mm-hmm. So that would be a cool thing to have, a true fallen paladin that used to be Heliod's champion and has zero piety, was an Oathbreaker, did something so bad that just lost all favor and is a fallen champion of Heliod. And they're trying to redeem themselves because they still believe they cannot follow any other god.
Yikes.
So it's like that massive fall from grace and the redemption story.
Oh, that's perfect. How sad, but like, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm. And they'll still be an asshole.
No, yeah, like, you wouldn't be able to stand this person, like, at all.
You'll, like, feel bad for them for a little bit, and then be like, oh, right, you're a jerk.
Why do we bring him along? So, a Heliod villain can easily become a tyrant. If they uphold justice a little too much, it can get icky. And I immediately thought of problematic police officers. So, like, that is the Heliod villain. All right, let's get into this adventure, the Sun Temple. This temple consists of towers, basically high in the sky. And I'll turn to the page in a second. This is a place where, like, marriages can happen. There's worship, research, and funerals, which happen on the roof because they want to be as close to the sun as possible. Okay. And they honor heroes and they record deeds. And so...
It sounds beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, okay. This is what they have for the temple.
Okay, yeah. Like, it's gonna be...
Like, multiple levels.
Yeah, tall, very tall, like 5 levels. Mm-hmm. And it's going to look like a wizard's tower on the top, like the highest peak.
Yeah. And so, I have you rolling a d12, and we're going to read off like an adventure you can do in a sun temple. So,
amazing.
Here you go.
There it is. Okay. 2.
2. So, you defend a hero being honored in a ceremony from an assassination attempt.
Ooh.
That would be fun.
Yep.
Cool.
This could be, like, easily kind of strewn into, like, either a side quest or, like, even a one-shot. Mm-hmm. That you find yourself coming to the Sun Temple for whatever reason. And then, chaos ensues, and then you end up having to, like, stay there and deal with shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's goodness. Now I kind of want to roll. Let me see.
Yeah, go for it.
4. Prevent a wedding from taking place so the couple's union doesn't fulfill an ominous prophecy.
Amazing. There you go.
That's fun.
That's a perfect one-shot.
Oh, yeah.
So you have been hired to stop this wedding because an oracle saw a prophecy in this small village. Mm-hmm. And, like, it's going to, crumble this family, like, destiny.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. That is a perfect one-shot.
So, you gotta stroll in at the 11th hour and yell, "No, I object!
Yep.
Stop the wedding!"
Too funny. I didn't go over him as a campaign villain, but from what I see here, it's just like, he is basically, he's driven by that desire to be in charge and to, like, rule over something, so it's easy for him to be a villain in a campaign. Like, he could be doing too much on the moral world. Maybe he sent all of his champions to kind of police over, like, one of the poses or something like that. And so, yeah, that's Heliod.
All right. Yeah, a very different persona than the first one. We're talking, like, probably happy to be seen.
Yeah.
But also doesn't want to, like, have to communicate with just the minion followers, Mm-hmm. Like, hangs out and observes, like, yes, this only exists because of me.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the Fleecemane Lion. Twice the size of a normal lion, making it a large-sized monstrosity. This has a mane of silvery or golden hair, and they also look to have lighter fur and striking silvery blue eyes. Very, very large. The art is very cool in the book. So these Fleecemane lions are imbued with the power of Nyx. They tend to be protectors of locations and stalk prey that come within their area. They are a feared creature, and due to the mysterious connection to Nyx, can end up being hunted as part of someone's journey becoming a true hero. Should you encounter one of these, their AC is 15 and their average hit points is 45 with a speed of 50. They are a large lion. That aligns them to a CR of 3. They do have above average or average stats with strength as the highest. And there's just one below average stat with intelligence, which tracks for kind of like wild animal type thing. So the lion can multi-attack to make 1 bite and 1 claw attack as an action. There is nothing magical about this. The bite deals 1d8 plus 4 piercing damage, and the claw deals 1d6 plus 4 slashing damage.
There you go. Keeping it simple. You're being attacked by a lion.
You are. It is twice the size of a normal lion, but nonetheless. So not surprisingly, they are skilled in perception and stealth, and they have advantage on perception checks that involve smell. They can pounce. So if it moves at least 20 feet straight forward at a creature and hits the creature with a claw attack on the same turn, the target must succeed on a DC 14 strength save or be knocked prone. It is tackling you to the ground.
Oh my god.
And if you are knocked prone by this, the lion can then make a bite attack as a bonus action.
Oh my gosh.
So things can go downhill pretty quickly.
Yep.
They can also do a running leap, which is where they can, with a 10-foot running start, can jump up to 25 feet. Despite only being a CR3, the Fleecemane Lion also has 2 legendary actions. This includes making a claw attack for 1 legendary action, or a roar that will cost both. The roar is magical, and each creature within 60 feet of the lion that can hear the roar must make a DC 12 wisdom save or be frightened of the lion until the end of the lion's next turn. So this is kind of the only time it demonstrates, I feel like, the power of Nyx is in that roar that can just cause creatures to be frightened. And it's its protection.
Yeah.
So if someone or party was so bold to try and come and, hunt it down, this is kind of it demonstrating its power besides, being a vicious animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is the Fleecemane Lion.
I feel like Heliod would have a bunch of these.
Just lazing around.
Like right around his temple, or, maybe an oracle has one near them and stuff. So, interesting.
Yeah, they're a fun addition.
Like perfect random encounter.
Totally.
Deadly random encounter.
Yeah. And like the art kind of shows them in like a woodsy area, kind of staying in the shadows, which I think makes sense. You're going to have to hunt them.
Yeah.
But they will also be hunting you.
Yeah.
But then, yes, I can also see them as like the pet.
Yeah.
That's just like lazing by the giant pillars by Heliod. And, if you start walking in too quickly, they like jump up and roar at you to keep you away.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So now we're going to get into Klothys, the god of destiny. So keep in mind, Kruphix and Klothys, it was said that they surpass or they predate mortal belief, and Heliod thinks he is this way too, but he really isn't.
It's like, good try though, but you're not.
Yeah, you're not. So Klothys oversees the cosmos and makes sure things remain the way they should be. Klothys has emerged from the underworld to untangle destiny and make the world right again. She is pissed that mortals and gods have so much ambition and keep toying with destiny. To describe Klothys, she is a woman with long white strands of hair that she can use as weapons. Her eyes stay covered, but when they come into view and she's angry, they turn red. Let me get to show you a picture of what she looks like.
Hair or things that replace hair in the world of Theros seems to be a trend that they can be used as a weapon.
Yeah. It's like hair is important here. And we're going to use it. So this is Klothys.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. So she emerged from the underworld. What I found interesting about her is that she has that starry stuff, but it's not the same color.
Right. It's more, red. It's red.
Yeah, reddish.
And then it looks like parts of her, like, long, silvery white hair is also red.
Mm-hmm. There's a huge difference here. This is a pretty powerful god. So Klothys went to the underworld to watch over the Titans. I never finished that sentence. So she went there to watch over the Titans. She seeks to restore the status quo and will do so even if mortals need to die. So, like, currently, when you're playing in a Theros campaign, you know that Klothys is there, and she's just like, oh my gosh, they just ruined everything. And I feel like eventually she's going to be like, I just got to tear this all up again and start fresh. Which could be, like, terrifying. Getting into the relationships. She hates Heliod. She wants to teach him and his followers some humility. And, which makes sense because she's very, like, laid back and he's very out there, so.
Mm-hmm.
She has a hard time liking gods who also like order. So, Afara, Karametra, and Erois are seen as inspiring mortals to be too ambitious. So, Afara's like the god of the polis, so she's like, building cities and stuff. And Karametra's in charge of the harvest, so she's out there in nature with, and Erois is like war. So too ambitious, and they like inspire the mortals to kind of break away from their predetermined lives. She doesn't like that.
Yeah, it's like they're telling mortals, you can be whatever you want to be, or you shouldn't stand for that. You should fight for what's right.
Right. So it's
and Klothys is going, no. They're a farmer. They will just be a farmer forever.
Right, like...
Stop telling them to be a champion.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. It's like, I can be a champion too. It's like, no, you can't, because everybody else is a farmer. You need to be a farmer too.
Yeah, it's like, don't bother.
Right.
It's fine. There's plenty of people that are destined to be champions. You're not one of them.
It's like, stop inspiring everyone.
Oh my gosh.
So she respects Erebos, the god of the underworld, but keeps an eye on him. She senses the same Heliod energy from him. So she keeps an eye on him. She used to get along with the Theros, the god of passage, but after she emerged from the underworld, she sort of blurred the borders between the mortal realm and the underworld, which annoyed Theros a bit. So
it's like, because like it used to be very clear.
Yeah. And so I didn't write this here, but she also brought, I think, a lot of like underworld creatures along, like followed her out.
Of course she did.
Yep. So he's just like, oh fuck. She trusts Kruphix more than anyone since they existed before mortal gods. So I had said that she has a hard time liking gods that like order. But she kind of gives Kruphix kind of like, a pass.
Yeah.
So to be a champion, you have to be pretty neutral. Suggested classes are Barbarian, Cleric, Ranger, and Warlock. Warlock, that's, yeah. Champions believe they must fulfill a destiny or seek to understand omens. And here's the thing. She has never had a champion. So now that she's back, being her champion is kind of like a new thing in Theros. So it's like, oh my gosh, you're a Klothys champion? Like, that hasn't happened before. So some of the ideals for champions include stewardship, humility, of course, vigilance, fury, and protection. You earn piety by defeating a creature that is just off the rails. Repairing a wound dealt to destiny by the gods' ambitions, teaching people about Klothys and her return. So spreading the gospel. Mm-hmm. You lose piety by undoing a deserved punishment, destroying a natural wonder, or exploiting destiny. So
yeah, she does. She's different. Names. She's different from Kruphix because she wants people to know about her and potentially start following her and, create that order again. Mm-hmm. And just stay the course. people.
Yeah, and I also feel like she doesn't need a champion. I feel like those that do become her champion, they were able to get her attention somehow, and she was like, "All right, I'll allow it."
Yes, that's true. Because, she doesn't need it to gain any more power or anything. And that is also why she's indifferent if what she needs to do to reset things kills humans or any other mortals. She's just like, it doesn't matter to me. And that's where Heliod is like, wait.
Yeah.
But they're worshipping my sunrise and sunset and doing the things for my friends.
Yep. Yep. And I think, like, as a champion, too, like, you have to understand that if she has it her way, if it goes her way and, like, she destroys Theros altogether, you have to understand, I'm going to be destroyed, too. Mm-hmm. I feel like you could play on that. Like, maybe she would save all her champions, but what if she didn't?
Yeah. She doesn't need them.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Klothys' villains. When she emerged from the underworld, a lot of the underworld creatures have followed her out. These creatures attack people, homes, and, like, villages. Some followers of Klothys may see this as her will. These people, don't need to be saved and that they have met their destiny. So,
don't disturb what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So immediately can be a villain, especially if you have, you and your party of heroes are like, we can stop them. Like, a Klothys champion would be like, no, this has to happen.
Yeah, if it's her will, let it be.
Yeah. So, Klothys as a campaign villain, heroes can meddle in Klothys' plan for reestablishing order in Theros. Characters can go on a journey trying to make right of Klothys' plan. Players can also search for the device that will push her back into the underworld. This is how she can be a villain in, like, your campaign. Like, so if heroes meddle with her plans or try to make right a Klothys plan that they feel is right, but she's like, no, that's wrong, it needs to be this way, that can, like, get her pissed off, and she can send whatever after you. And a way to defeat her is to search for the device that will push her back into the underworld.
Okay.
Which, that'd be a fun journey.
So in this book, there is truly a device that could do that?
They didn't specify the device, but they did say, here we go. Boldest of all, the characters might determine what device allowed the god to enter the mortal realm. Its destruction could hurl her back into the underworld for untold ages to come. So I wrote that a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But like, trying to find, like, maybe you heard from an oracle of Heliod or something like that. Like, go to, some far off place in Theros to, like, locate some type of device that would help bring her,
totally
bring her back into the underworld. So, yeah, that would be a fun little situation you could do if she was, like, the campaign villain.
Yeah.
So next we have the Abandoned Temple, which is an adventure you can play. Players can encounter an abandoned temple of Klothys or any other god, but since Klothys has been away for so long, she probably has, like, the most abandoned temples. Followers can be called to retrieve something. Typically, these abandoned temples include remains, special items, records, and, of course, monsters.
Of course.
And I'm going to get you to roll another D12.
All right. We got a 3.
All right. So, Abandoned Temple Adventure. Retrieve the remains of a dead humanoid from the temple. So, pretty simple. Yeah, I guess I will roll it too.
Yeah, you should roll. We should do 2.
Yeah.
10.
Consult a demon living in the temple. Okay.
Yeah, that's more fun.
Yeah. Like, I want to talk to a demon, see what's going on.
Yeah, because you could be told about this abandoned temple and then expect, the land to be abandoned and you, like, who knows what kind of wild creature might be lurking in it. Yeah. And you stroll up and it's been completely re-inhabited by this demon and their followers or slaves.
Yep.
And you're just like, what the hell is happening here?
I had to get some information because this is not what we were supposed to come across. So yeah, that is Klothys.
Cool. I'm entertained by her story and also how powerful she is, and that, you know, she butts heads with Heliod.
Yeah. I think definitely, like, if you have a player who's all about Heliod and you have another player at your table who's like, I don't know which god to choose, I feel like you would say, go with Klothys and, like, let her be your god and, you know, watch how those two play out, like, at the table.
And potentially, you could have a player that in the campaign discovers Klothys and then starts becoming their champion.
Yeah.
That could even be part of, like, the evolution of the character as well, because she's relatively new. Yeah. And so it's like, oh, I didn't know who this was. And you, like, have an encounter and then you realize, like, you're totally aligned. Yeah. And let's do this. Or you realize you really hate Heliod and the person in your party who follows them and is like, anything but this guy. Okay? Yeah. And then this one's like, oh, I hate him. Great.
Love that.
Okay, so our final monster in this episode is where we turn dark.
Oh, all right.
This is the Woe Strider. Okay, so this is a thing of nightmares, and I must flip to the art because it really does not disappoint. There you go, Miaca.
What is that?
It's just a book.
Oh my god.
Yes, yeah, it truly.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, they did outdo themselves in the book on this one.
They did.
So this creature is formed from the soul of those poor creatures who broke the bonds of destiny. Ooh. So really, really went against Klothys.
Yeah.
So over many decades, they mutate into hunched, long-limbed humanoid monsters that walk on all fours and seek a way to gain back the connection to destiny. So they are thin, with their bony spines and long, scraggly black hair hanging across their face, and they do not appear to have the face of a human. It has transformed into a disfigured mix of eyes, and it must be a mouth and teeth because they do have a multi-attack to make a bite and 2 claw attacks. But who the hell knows based on the art what actually is going on there?
Yeah, the art is amazing.
Yeah. So they attack creatures in an effort to retrieve and acquire cosmic purpose again. And they target magic. So should you encounter one, they will be more challenging, standing at a CR of 7. This large aberration is chaotic evil, has an AC of 17 with no armor, and an HB of just over 100. And not only a 40-foot walking speed, but a 40-foot climbing speed with those lanky, long limbs.
Oh, yeah.
All above average ability modifiers except for intelligence. These creatures are skilled in intimidation and perception, are immune to being frightened, and have dark vision of 120 feet, and Miaca, telepathy of 120 feet.
Like, do not get in my brain.
Yep. So they will see you and talk to you in your head before you even know what's going on.
I can't have that thing talking to me. I cannot have that thing talking to me.
So when the Woe Strider fails to gain a destiny again, it will cry out with the most unnerving sound you never want to hear come out of the darkness. I imagine this is also the sound you'd hear when they first use their anti-magic cone. So this is where they open its mouth and create a 60-foot cone of an anti-magic field. It can change the direction of the cone at the start of its turns by moving its head, and it can also decide to close its mouth to stop the ability. But this is essentially a gaping maw from that disfigured face.
Yeah.
And it stops magic. A 60-foot cone, wherever it's looking.
Oh, no.
So I did mention that they have multi-attack before with 1 bite and 2 claw attacks. They each also have a little more to them, though. What is interesting is that if they hit the same creature with both claw attacks, and those claw attacks have a 10-foot reach, by the way, lanky arms.
10 feet?
10 feet.
Oh my gosh.
The target is automatically grappled and has to do a DC 14 to escape. So it's just, if it does 2 claw attacks, hits on both, you're grappled in those lanky arms. Oh, no. It can then attempt to bite the creature that it has grappled. This will also work if you're incapacitated or restrained from other things. But on a hit, it will deal 2d8 plus 4 piercing damage from the bite, but also 3d10 psychic damage. So this is where that like seeking magic will come into play, and that telepathy. It's doing psychic damage to you. Additionally, each magic item that the creature is carrying that isn't an artifact has its magical properties suppressed for 1 minute. Oh. So your magic swords are no longer magical. Yeah, like that is some fuckery for 1 minute.
I'm thinking of my character purpose, like her not being able to use any of her magic.
Yeah. So it's interesting that it has abilities to cause an anti-magic field so that it can gain advantage on grappling and grabbing those creatures, and then it will attempt to basically suck the magic and cause damage to try and suck the destiny from that creature.
God. Oh my god.
And obviously it's not going to work. No. And so then it just has this annoyed and aggravated moan that it does. It's disturbing. It's just disturbing. What kind of fucked up brain actually came up with this thing? I don't know. It's, if you want to make a dark turn, you can have the Fleecemane Lion in the woods, or you can have the Woe Strider.
I'd rather fight the lion. I rather would fight the lion.
Yeah, we got some good options for woods encounters today.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But I can see how, they do have that connection. It's all about destiny, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where there's that big connection to Klothys. And, you could potentially, they only have telepathy. And so you could potentially use them as a way to find out about Klothys. Maybe Klothys is the reason they became a Woe Strider. And so that might be your in if you actually try and communicate with them.
Yeah. Could be on the trail that maybe she left on her way out of the underworld or whatever.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of where this was created. It's kind of in her realm of horrifying creatures and things that tried to defy destiny and were horrifically punished for it.
And how interesting that it goes after everyone, but it's focused on that whole magic cone thing.
Yeah.
Clearly a Klothys design. It's you were never supposed to have magic. So here's a monster try to take it from you, or make you fight this thing without magic or whatever.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah, that's a wild monster.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode in our monthly discussion on Theros. Don't forget to check out some of the other series on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and other podcast apps. And become one of our patrons to get access to bonus episodes, book reviews, discussions on homebrewing details, and the It's a Mimic campaign builder.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Touring the Multiverse on the It's a Mimic channels. If you'd like to support us, we have a donate button on our website, itsamimic.com, a store with some It's a Mimic merch, and a Patreon. But one of the best things you can do is share, subscribe, comment, leave reviews, and make posts about It's a Mimic and this series. Engagements like that help us create more content for you to consume. But if you don't, I want to say thanks for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.